The Dodgers traded away Gavin Lux to the Cincinnati Reds, and we get into all that in this edition of Dodgers Digest. Hey, this is Mike Nelson. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank the 28% of the ones who are watching these videos who have already hit the sub button, but 71% of you have not subscribed yet. You know, myself and Brad J. will bring you everyday Dodger content. You're not going to find content like this anywhere else. Make sure to hit the sub button. We're the best Dodger channel out there. Let's get right into it. Of course, Gavin Lux was traded. As I said this past week, Gavin Lux should be traded. And, you know, I even said most likely a player the Dodgers will think of moving after they sign Kim. Well, it happened. I didn't think it would happen this fast. I mean, they literally signed Kim, what was it, Friday? And they traded Gavin Lux about 72 hours later. So the Dodgers, it's hard to know exactly how aggressive were the Dodgers in shopping Gavin Lux prior to the Kim signing. That's something that I think is interesting to analyze. How aggressive were the Dodgers in trying to trade Gavin Lux away before they locked up Kim? It's hard to know. I mean, had the Dodgers not signed Kim, would they have traded Gavin Lux? I mean, it's looking like maybe not. Maybe Gavin Lux would still be a Dodger if they had not, signed Kim this past week, right, from the KBO. It seems like once they signed Kim, the idea of having Kim being a super utility player, which is what originally was reported, is probably not true. Probably Kim is an everyday player. They want Kim to be the everyday second baseman. And what ends up happening is they trade Gavin Lux. They trade Gavin Lux to the Cincinnati Reds for Mike Sorota, a minor league outfielder who is yet to make his major league debut. And, of course, a competitive balanced draft pick, which, according to sources, is going to be probably pick 37, 38. So a pretty good pick, in the draft, right? So it's hard to know. Would the Dodgers have traded Gavin Lux if they had not signed Kim? I personally think the Dodgers were probably not going to trade him. I mean, now after seeing how everything unfolded, I really thought that Gavin Lux was on the market, as soon as the World Series ended. But it seems like maybe he wasn't, right? It seems like maybe this all intensified until they signed Kim, right? They didn't want to just trade Gavin Lux away and not, go to their minor league or, have Chris Taylor be the second baseman. They just didn't want to do that, right? But now with, Kim on the team and the Dodgers, looking like they want to have him as an everyday player, not having him be a super utility guy as, originally it was reported, the Dodgers became aggressive and they traded him to Cincinnati. Now, originally, remember the sources had said that Gavin Lux was on his way to New York or even Seattle was aggressive. I guess it wasn't true, right? It seems like the Cincinnati Reds were interested in Gavin Lux. They were willing to trade away Mike Sorota. As we take a look at his stats, this is Sorota's basically college ball stats. He also played in the Cape Cod League a couple years. What was it now? 3 years, right? Basically a summer league for college players. He had 339 one of his years at the Cape Cod League, and also had 18 homers back in the 23 season with Northeastern University. So it's hard to know. Mike Sorota is still a young player. He's only 21 years old. Never played in the major leagues, and obviously he will be going straight to the Dodgers minor league system. He'll be trying to get into single A baseball and kind of starting at the bottom, right? That's where Sorota is going to go. A player that is a pick for the future, right? A player that will be for the future. Not somebody that the Dodgers will probably be relying on for the next couple years at the big club level. So, it's not the end of the world getting a player like that. Gavin Lux, is a player that I guess is somewhat regarded. Do I think it's enough though? I mean, I do think the Dodgers didn't get, as much as they would have wanted, right? I mean, I don't know. They did get, at least a draft pick, and they got a formidable prospect, not a number one prospect or something like that, but, he's a prospect that teams would like to have. But had you traded Gavin Lux, maybe a couple years ago or even a year and a half ago, they might have gotten a little bit more, right? So they did get, maybe not really enough for Gavin Lux. But, at the end of the day, maybe the Dodgers did actually rob the Reds, right? Because we don't know exactly how Sorota is going to turn out, right? I mean, this guy could be an all-star in 4 or 5 years, and the chances of Gavin Lux being an all-star or being a player of note in the next few years is unlikely, right? I mean, I think Gavin Lux has had many opportunities. Obviously, we wish nothing but the best to Gavin Lux, as now he'll be going to Cincinnati, Ohio, and playing with a storied franchise, right? The Reds, been pretty awful in the last 30 years or so, but prior to that, they were a team that was, pretty feared in Major League Baseball, right? And had a bit of a rivalry with the Dodgers, right? Back in the 70s, right? For those of you that were around back then. But, Sorota, I mean, Lux is going to be a player that I think he's going to be a Major League player for the next few years, but I just don't see him being a big impact player. It was the right time to trade Gavin Lux. I think another year would have been just a bit too much. It would have been too much of a risk to trade Gavin Lux after the 25 season or during the 25 season, have him play more baseball with the Dodgers and potentially diminish his value even more, with Kim potentially taking his job at second base, right? Kim could have took his job just by, playing better than Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux could have started out, with had a bad start to the 2025 year, and there would be Kim right there ready to take his spot. So, the idea of trading Gavin Lux now before that happens, I think is the smart thing to do. But it is a little bit, strange for sure that the Dodgers became more aggressive, once they signed Kim. Right? I thought the Dodgers were, trying to package Lux and Taylor, right out of, I mean, especially like Chris Taylor is another player that I think has to be on the trade block, right? I mean, I think he's a player that has definitely faded, this past year, injuries, and just hasn't been very good at the plate. So Chris Taylor, I mean, is getting paid quite a bit of money as well. So it would be a great time to try to unload some of that salary, get some of the, get that player off of the roster. Because there's, you got James Outman, you got other players that could take his spot, right? So I just think Chris Taylor is a player that the Dodgers are probably going to have to also actively shop. And, this also leads to the next question. How does Kike Hernandez fit into all this? Trading away Gavin Lux. Maybe this creates an opportunity for Kike Hernandez, right? Who's obviously a utility player, could play all over the field, and they just traded away an infielder. And obviously, Kike Hernandez would be a formidable backup to Kim, right? I mean, obviously, Kike Hernandez is not an everyday player at this point in his career, so he could definitely be that utility guy, and Kim can slot in and be an everyday baseball player for the Dodgers in his rookie season, which is pretty crazy. As always, make sure to subscribe, and let's go Dodgers! Woo!